So the question I'm answering today is it better to do multiple sets of the same exercise and then move on to a different exercise? Or should we be combining a variety of exercises into a circuit where we're going through the circuit multiple times? So this is going to lead us into horizontal versus vertical loading, which sounds really technical, but I'm sure if you have any workout experience, you've probably done both of these styles, okay? So horizontal loading means you're going to do multiple sets of the same exercise. So let's take the goblet squat. So you would choose, let's say 8 reps with a minute rest. And then you would do that multiple times. So 8 reps, rest, 8 reps, rest, 8 reps, rest. Usually between 2 to 4, maybe 5 sets of the same exercise. Circuit training, AKA vertical loading, is something that a lot of you are going to be familiar with if you've ever been to a group fitness class. Most group fitness classes vertically load the exercises. So that means that we would choose 4 to 6 exercises, and you would go through each one and then loop it around. So you would do 8 squats, 8 push-ups, 8 lunges, 8 chest presses, and then you would go, that's one set, and then you would go back to the squats, and then the chest, right? And you would just keep going through for a certain number of sets. So that is horizontal loading versus vertical loading. Now, what are the benefits and the drawbacks of each of these? If you've ever been in the gym, let me ask you this. Have you ever been in the gym and you see a dude and he's like basically laying down on the bench and he's just scrolling through his phone, and you're doing your workout, you look back, it's a minute, 2 minutes later, he's still just on his phone, he's not even working out. What is this guy up to, okay? That is somebody who is horizontally loading, all right? That person has decided he's gonna probably do really, really heavy bench press, and then he's gonna rest. But the fact is, when you are strength training using that horizontal loading method, you need to rest, because most likely you're doing a compound lift, right? You're doing something like a deadlift, bench press, or a heavy squat. And then you are doing maybe 5, 6 reps, something like that, sometimes even less. So the weight is really heavy. So it is imperative, if you're doing it like that, that you rest completely before your next set. So we might look at those people and be like, okay, whatever, but they're actually using a legitimate and classic strength training technique, which is the horizontal loading. So let's talk about benefits of the horizontal loading method. One is that's how you're going to lift real heavy weights. So when I go and I know I'm like, I want to lift that deadlift, I'm going to I want to see how heavy I can lift, right? Some days I'm in that kind of mood. I'm not going to combine my super heavy deadlift where I can only do maybe 3 or 4 reps. We're talking over 200 pounds. I'm not going to combine that with anything. In between my sets, I am going to rest, right? So if you are looking to lift super heavy, low reps, this is going to be a great way to do it. Another benefit of the horizontal loading is that you're not moving around a bunch of different stations. You are at one station, you do all of your sets, and then you move to another station, right? So during COVID times, where you're maybe having to put your mask back on in order to move to the other circuit station, right? That's not convenient, okay? So being able to just stay at one station, do all your sets, and then move to a different station, do all your sets, that's actually a pretty convenient way to work out right now during social distancing times. So that horizontal loading might be beneficial. So let's talk about some of the drawbacks. Let's talk about drawbacks starting with time. So horizontal loading generally is not very time efficient. And the reason why is because you're working the same muscle group every set, you need a lot of rest, right? So it just literally takes more time. And so if you don't have a lot of time, it's not very efficient. Another drawback not for everyone, but depends on what your goals are, is it does not really benefit your cardio endurance at all, right? Again, because you have to rest a lot. You're not really going to be getting your heart rate up for a sustained period because of the amount of rest that this style of strength. Okay, vertical loading, aka circuit training. If you have ever been to a class with me, you have done this, all right? So basically, we choose a bunch of exercises. It doesn't have to be a bunch. It can be anywhere between 2 to 6. Maybe if you're in a big class, you're going to have like 10 stations, right? And you're going to go around and around for a certain amount of time or reps at each station, and then you move on, right? And each set is determined once you get back to the beginning, okay? So the benefits of circuit training, definitely better for improving aerobic capacity, your cardio, right? Because you're not really resting between sets because you're going from one exercise to a different exercise. So generally the way that I like to set up circuits is we do an upper body, and then the next station is lower body, and then the next station is upper body, and then the next station is lower body. Now, you can make it challenging by doing all, low body, right? That's going to make it challenging, but you're going to need more rest between sets. So a great way to build cardio endurance and muscle endurance is to do this kind of circuit training style where there's very little rest in between, and you're just continually going through different exercises. And then the other benefit is, I might get flack for this, but it can be a little bit more fun, right? Because you're not sitting around having to rest as much. I think it's kind of a little more fun. You get more variety of exercises. You're keeping moving, right? You're not having to sit back and do that resting, which I know a lot of my clients get pretty antsy in their pain. Final benefit is that it's more time efficient. So we talked about that. The horizontal loading takes more time because you have to rest a lot. And then the vertical loading doesn't take as much time. You don't have as much rest. So you can just be moving more. You can be getting more exercise variety in a shorter amount of time. That's why it's become so popular in the modern world that we live in, is because it is more time efficient. And so that makes a lot of sense. The drawbacks, there are some drawbacks. Number one is you kind of need a lot of space in some cases, right? Not in all cases. You can certainly do a big circuit with just 2 10-pound weights. I do that all the time. But if you're in a gym, if you're using machines, right, it's kind of hard to do a circuit sometimes, especially in COVID, when we're in this pandemic where you're having to move from each station. Every time you move a station, you got to wipe it down, and then you got to put your mask on to get to your next machine. So there is drawbacks in that. Here's the great news. You don't have to choose between horizontal and vertical loading. You can do both. Both have a great place in any well-rounded program, right? So you could do both styles within the same workout, right? In the same day that you go to the gym. I do that often where I'll have my one main lift that I do. So maybe a bench press, and I'm taking a long break in between, and I'm really working on that heavy weight, really good form. So I want plenty of rest so I can have that perfect form every time while lifting that heavy weight. And then after I complete those sets, I'll go into a circuit with more accessory exercises for my upper body, like chest flies, shoulder presses, and things like that. So you don't have to choose between the two, okay? It's beautiful. You can have it both ways. But I want to know what your preference is, right? So what do you gravitate towards in your workouts? I will talk to you soon. Bye.